Dhani watches a lot of television and movies. John does not. Listen in as she tells him about what she's watching, and he tries to make sense of it all. Welcome to Watching My Stories with Dhani and John.
Hello, folks.
Hello, everyone.
Sorry. I didn't know you hit the button.
I'm sorry, I just yelled in everyone's ears. But
I was right in the middle of a droopy dog impression. Come on.
I hit the button and he started doing that.
Give a fella a cue. Sorry.
Welcome to Watching My Stories.
I think we should leave this.
I'm Dhani.
And I'm John.
AKA Droopy Dog.
Hello, folks.
Oh, that timing couldn't have been better. Okay, here we are again some more.
Yep.
And we've got a lot this week.
Yep.
So we're going to
Gotta get serious here.
blow through this as quickly as possible. We're
gonna blow through it without. Never mind.
See, he ruined it. Oh my gosh. He thought he had to say something, not so much.
I had something funny to say. I just couldn't say it.
Okay, we're starting with movies this week.
Okay.
First movie is the latest Halloween.
Yeah, you're on your own. I didn't see it.
I know you did.
Well, you were looking at me like
I thought you'd have some sort of reaction. Okay, so this is the
oh man,
sequel to the original Halloween from 40 years ago or whatever. And before seeing this, like a month ago, I watched the original because I thought maybe I had seen it as a kid, but I didn't remember it at all. And now I'm not sure that I actually saw it at all. And so when I watched the original, I was really disappointed. I did not think it was scary. I thought it was really horrible acting. I didn't think it didn't make any sense to me. Like, why is this? Okay, so he was a kid and he killed his sister for some reason and now he wants to kill these other people. Like, it didn't make sense to me. So I didn't like it. But then this one was looking really good. And I knew one of the writers was Danny McBride. And I thought, and I had heard that they had put some humor into it, and it seemed like, okay, so we're bypassing all those other Halloween movies and we're just gonna pretend like they never existed, and we're 40 years in the future and he's coming back for Jamie Lee Curtis and she's going for him, and that sort of thing. So I was really excited to see it and then disappointed again. So here's what I think I've figured out. For my scary movies, I need a story. Kind of like porn. Isn't that what people say? Women always need a story.
Well, so yeah, but
here's the thing with Michael Myers. We don't know what his problem is. We don't know why he has to kill people. And literally, in the first one, he's a little boy. He kills his sister. We don't know why. And then he's put away forever. And he gets out and he kills all these other kids.
Why does it matter why?
That's what I'm saying, is I think for me, it matters. I have to have a story and I need to know why someone is killing people. That makes it interesting to me. You know me. I watch all of the Datelines and the I Survived, and I love the stories, and while sometimes I'm looking for the why, in a movie, I need to know the why. There needs to be a story to it.
Yeah,
and
okay.
This whole time, so the point is, Michael is being transferred from one place to the next, from the facility he's been in for 40 years. And, sorry. And he's, the bus crashes, which, we don't know if they caused the crash, the inmates in there or whatnot. And so Michael escapes. And so he comes back to the town where, where all the killing happened in the first one, starts killing everyone on his way to finding basically Jamie Lee Curtis. And it's just first off, the kills are not scary because he's the type of person who he sees someone in the house and he just walks in and kills them. He doesn't hide. You know what I mean? There's no suspense to it. He walks around and he literally just kills people. So then I had also heard, I watched one of the making ofs or whatever, and I saw that Jamie Lee had said, that the writers had said, no, there would be no comedy until someone was killed. Well, after someone was killed, I didn't see any comedy either. So the point is, her character's been living in this paranoid state for 40 years. And Judy Greer plays her daughter, and they have a very estranged relationship because obviously Jamie Lee Curtis is like a crazy person. And so it ends up back at her home, which she had turned into this fortress. That got kind of interesting so Michael Myers ends up back there. She has all these things in her house that she's prepared for this moment. So she's got roll down gates on each room. So like if she comes in and clears each room, she'll put the gate down so that, it's cleared, which I was kind of like, why wouldn't you put all the gates down first? Because if he's in there, then he can't get out. But again, that's me. So she's got all these traps and things in the house. And so that got kind of interesting. It still wasn't suspenseful enough for me to consider it to be a scary movie. But it was good enough. There were times where I was kind of yelling, going, that's stupid. And no one would do that. And that's not the right way to behave, like that sort of thing. I don't know. I'm really disappointed, and I think it really is just because this dude wants to wear a mask and walk around killing people, and then he's after this specific person, which isn't anyone he ever knew. Like, is he just mad that he didn't kill her in the first one, and so he just wanted to make sure he came back and killed her? Like, it's very weird because he's never uttered a word. He's never said anything. It's very weird to me. And I guess I just wish there were just 2 sentences in either one of these movies to say he is XYZ. If like he was diagnosed, sociopath, if he was diagnosed a psychopath, like there's no any of that to say, here's what's happening. It's just very strange. Like, and they want it. So we start in with these podcasters actually who are just kind of like, all these podcasts that I listen to about murders, they're reinvestigating that whole murder from 40 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so they go and interview Jamie Lee Curtis, and they go to the institution where Michael Myers is, and they try to get him to talk. And of course he won't talk. And these podcasters end up being stopped at a gas station where surprisingly Michael Myers ends up being, because he just escaped, and like he goes after them, and it's just so weird. Like, okay, well, why is he mad at these people? Like, you just don't know. Like he literally goes out of his way to kill them, and it's just like, it's just weird to me. I don't know. And maybe, look, I do have kind of an issue with scary movies when they don't have a point, or if they're silly or whatever. Maybe it is because I dive into so many real life murders and murderers that I need it to have some sort of reality to it. I don't know what it is, but it just wasn't scary.
Well, if you need there to be some kind of reality to a scary movie, then you're going to be disappointed because...
Right. And there are a lot that I haven't liked because I'm like, okay, that's over the top. That's ridiculous.
Okay. So can you name one that you do like?
A scary movie?
Yeah. What you consider scary?
I love Poltergeist. The Exorcist to me is the scariest movie ever made. And, and that's a true story. Okay. So,
well, truth is stranger than fiction.
Yes, it is. And that's often what I find very scary. So, Cape Fear is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen because, again, it's just a crazy person, but we're seeing him speak and talk and manipulate, and that's very scary to me. Poltergeist, I love. People say Jaws is scary. I don't find it scary, but it's suspenseful. I love suspense. I think more like A Quiet Place, my favorite of this year. That is such a well done suspenseful movie that a lot of people put it in the scary movie column. I don't know that I call it scary as much as suspenseful, but again, maybe I have very different definitions for some people.
That's an interesting.
Oh, well, we talked all about this at Halloween. One of the best is Paranormal Activity. Mm-hmm. And it's that did scare me because, again, the unseen with the suspense, but there's some sort of activity there. It's scary. But now I watch it all the time and no problem. So just like all the others, except for Exorcist. Exorcist still freaks me out. I probably have only watched it 5 full times. That one's just too much for me. It's very...
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't mean to change the subject. I was just trying to figure out what it was that you would find scary. And it sounds to me like plausibility.
Yeah. Well, even, we talked about at Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, when I was a kid, that was very scary. That's a very scary concept. And again, I've always had night terrors all my life. So to think that there could be someone who could truly kill me in my dreams versus, where I wake up right before that happens, that's a very scary concept. But now looking at it, it's ridiculous, So there are things that are, and I'm sure over the period of your life, you're scared by different things.
Sure. Yes.
I tried watching It, which came out this year. It was so stupid. So again, I
only saw the first 5 minutes, which I think is probably the creepiest part. Probably
right, the kid with the thing down the rain.
Yeah, that messed me up for about half an hour.
It was confusing me, and again, maybe if I had watched the whole thing, but I just couldn't. I was just kind of like, this is so silly.
Okay, so let's get back on track.
So Halloween, 2 stars. Take my advice with a grain of salt, because obviously I think I have a different idea of what's scary versus other people. Like, again, this year's Hereditary I thought was so stupid and such a waste of my time, and yet it is consistently now making the top 10 lists of the scariest movies of all time. So I don't understand it, because it's awful.
Okay,
so
duly noted.
Grain of salt on that one. Okay, next movie is Venom with Tom Hardy and Riz Ahmed and Michelle Williams, and Riz Ahmed is the villain, is the bad guy, which was just really cool. I love him so much. So it was just fun to see him. Anyway, so this is a Marvel movie. Venom is, I knew it only through like Spider-Man, and
I love how you say that.
I know.
You make it sound
someone's
Jewish.
last name. Yeah. And so this is also, I guess, I did some reading afterwards because that's what I do. So I only knew it from Spider-Man, but it turns out that then Venom went from Spider-Man in the comics to this guy, Brock, whatever his name, I forget the character's name, which is Tom Hardy in the comics. So this is another comic story. So Venom itself is this alien symbiote, like,
like a predator or something?
A parasite, basically.
Oh, okay.
And so Venom takes on human bodies and takes them over, and the point was originally, I guess, in this movie to take over humans and then to exterminate the whole planet so that they could take it over for themselves. So in this movie, Riz Ahmed has some of these symbiotes in his, like, he's like a huge tech guy, and he's got all these projects and stuff. And so he's trying to figure out what this is. At the same time, Eddie, who is Tom Hardy's character, he's like a journalist, and he ends up there, and the symbiote gets into him, but he ends up liking him. And so Venom can reveal itself, in the black. Everyone's seen the black kind of creature that comes out. Sure. It's kind of like a protective suit type thing at times. So Venom can come out to protect Eddie and fight and all that sort of stuff. And so it goes on and into the story of possibly Venom saying, oh, well, there are all these other symbiotes out here that are here to destroy the earth, and we need to stop them, because now Venom likes Eddie and actually kind of likes being together type thing. And so that's the general story. Here's my take on it. First, I love Marvel movies. They're the best.
You do?
Yes. And but this one was a little bit darker. It went a little DC on us because it was always kind of like nighttime and raining and stuff. And the comedy didn't seem to come out until a little bit past the second half.
Till somebody got killed?
So, no.
Jamie Lee Curtis was right. Just wrong movie.
So I was a little bit in the first half. I was a little bit like, okay, there's just a lot of action, and again, they weren't telling us enough about what Venom was at first. So again, I was missing my story. I was like, why is this happening and all that? But once they told us that, and Venom and Eddie started talking to each other more, then I started to get more attracted to them as a character and what was happening. And then you start to really care for Venom, and you've already cared for Eddie, because at first you think he's being invaded and you're just like, oh my God, they got to get rid of Venom. but then you really like them. And then by the end, there's comedy between the two, and Venom's funny. And like, you know, and then it felt more like Marvel and more like, okay, I can do a second one of this. And here's one of the issues I do have with superhero movies sometimes is the origin movie. I'm not a super fan of, because we have to spend so much time learning that I always love the second one, because the second one we just jump in, we know the characters, and we can just go forward. So if they do a second one of this, I'm going to be really into it, because it was fun. Yeah, it was fun.
Okay.
And Michelle Williams plays his girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, but kind of like partner in the whole thing. So that was, you know, that was fine. It was just interesting. It was, yeah, I could look forward to a second one for sure.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So I'm giving that one 3.5 stars. A lot of good action, a lot of the normal CGI effects and all that sort of stuff. But it definitely has a different feel. It's not as bright and shiny. It's definitely a different, you know, a little darker, feel to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Next movie is Smallfoot, the animated movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So this one, there's Channing Tatum. He's the main Smallfoot. I think. I should write down these, like the Moji or something like that. And Zendaya's in it, and James Corden and Gina Rodriguez. Like, there's a lot of good people with their voices in it.
Okay. And the premise is.
The premise is they're all playing Yetis. Well, not all of them, but and one day Channing Tatum's Yeti, he comes across a human and believes that now there's the Smallfoot. He saw one, like it was a legend among the Yetis that the Smallfoot existed, and so it's so there's a much deeper story here that I'm sure kids don't see. And maybe not everyone relates it to what I saw, but so we learn the whole story of this group of Yetis that live up on a mountain, and they have their whole philosophy. And these philosophies are that the snail is the sun, and that someone has to ring a gong for the sun to come up every morning. And like, they have all these different stories that they have been passed down from generation to generation.
Okay.
And it's all to keep everyone in check. They're all to keep everyone behaving the way that the top Yetis want them to behave. It's all to keep them busy and entertained and staying in their place.
Right.
So when he comes back and says, I saw the Smallfoot, they actually banish him. And it turns out that basically the Yetis don't want anyone thinking for themselves, that they don't want them exploring anything outside of their space. So he decides with a group of other people, that also believe, they're also believers, that in Smallfoot, that he's gonna venture out and go and find Smallfoot,
find one to
and
prove
bring
it.
one back.
Okay.
And he does, and it starts everyone questioning things. And the main guy, who's played by Common, which is great, all of their rules are actually literally written in stone. And Common's character wears all the stones. And one of their rules is you don't question. You just don't question what we've told you. And I'm going to spoil everything here, people, so, deal with it. But when he brings the Smallfoot back and everyone starts having all these questions, Common brings him in and says, here's the deal. We know about Smallfoot. We knew years ago, and they pitchforked us and tried to set us on fire, and there was this huge problem, and so we came up here to live above the clouds, and we made all these rules so no one will ever go down and face Smallfoot and possibly death, and that sort of thing, and we've been trying to protect you. So then he's upset that, you just made up all this stuff, like the sun rises on its own, and there's all this other things that they were told to believe in. So it was just very interesting. It's a great story about thinking for yourself. It's a great story about questioning things that you are told. And there's music. There's a lot of good songs in it, which again makes it so much better for me. So I really enjoyed it. It was good because there's also then the Smallfoot he captures, which is James Corden. is recording everything when he's up there, and there's all these Bigfoot around him, and and it's good. I liked it. I think kids will get a lot out of it. I think it's something that I think the adults can appreciate while you're watching it with your kids. I enjoyed it. And it's been a while since I've actually made it through an animated movie, because some of them I just haven't been able to get through. And this one I did, and it was good. I liked it. Yeah.
Is it on? It's not on the movie channels yet, right?
No, not on the movie channels yet. No, rental. Yeah. So 3 stars for Smallfoot.
Yeah, because of my interest in the subject. As soon as it comes on the movie channels, I'll watch it.
Yes, he's a Bigfoot believer for sure.
Yeah. The simple answer, I guess, is probably yes.
Okay, we don't have time. We can do an episode on Bigfoot.
No, we're not. You're just teasing me now.
Okay.
And I know better. You're not going to bait me with that.
Yeah. Okay. And now the final movie is a Netflix movie that just came out yesterday on Netflix on Friday, called Dumplin. With Jennifer Aniston, Maddie Ballio, who was the lead. She played Tracy Turnblad in the live Hairspray production that they had on NBC.
Okay.
Yeah, so she was great. And then the new girl in this, who is Dumplin, is Danielle McDonald, and I guess she's also in Bird Box, which comes out next week or in 2 weeks on Netflix as well. So anyway, so this is Dumplin. It's based on a book, and Jennifer Aniston plays an small town beauty queen in Texas, and her daughter Willadine is a big girl, and so they kind of don't have anything in common, because Jennifer Aniston is still living her beauty pageant life and wants and the grandeur that gives her from walking around this small town and knowing that she had won this little beauty pageant 30 years before or whatever. So but the story follows the daughter, Willadine, and she had an aunt who introduced her to Dolly Parton, and so this girl's loved Dolly Parton all her life, and her aunt had just died within the previous year, and so now the beauty pageant is coming around that her mother runs, and this is the first year she's going to have to do it without her aunt around, and she decides to enter the beauty pageant with her friends, and kind of as a protest, and then it kind of ends up turning into this loving yourself story, and the great part about this is she's going through her aunt's stuff, and she finds a flyer for a bar that had a Dolly Parton night every week. So she takes her friends and they decide to go, and it's a drag performance of Dolly Parton's. So there's all these guys up there, lip syncing and all that stuff. Yep. And she gets called backstage, and it's Harold Perrineau. It's Michael from Lost. And he was great friends with her aunt, because her aunt went there and did all their costumes and all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
And so he kind of gives her all this advice, kind of from the voice of her aunt, and is telling her to go forward and do this stuff. And when they finally decide to give it their all, they go back to this bar, and all these drag queens start helping them with their costumes, helping them on their performances, how they're going to walk, all the flair to their performance. And the great thing is that all these kids actually weren't great. You know what I mean? They didn't turn into all of a sudden they can dance, and all of a sudden they can, now Maddie Ballio obviously can sing. And so she does, which is, I was crying. But they teach them all, it's that, there's no one better to teach a kid. This is going to sound weird, but it's true. There's no one better to teach a kid about loving who they are and finding the best in themselves than a drag queen, because that's what they're doing. They're living their best life. And so those lessons, we see them come down to these kids. And then by the time the beauty pageant comes on, I was a mess. I was crying through the whole thing, because the guys are in the audience. And so they're cheering on these girls that they've taught all this to, and they're seeing it happen. The costumes were amazing. Everyone was really amazed by them, and they were doing really well. And so it was just that story. It's just, I've talked about it a million times. We always have these stories of these kids and stuff, but this felt much more, I don't want to say real, but it just felt, it was a great message without it being messagey. You know what I mean?
Okay.
it's not in your face. It just sort of happens, and it just like the main girl, Dumplin, which is what her mom calls her, so that's why the movie's, and she hates it. But Willa Dean, she works with this guy, this really good looking guy, and he likes her, and she rejects him. She's like, why would you ever want to be with him? Like, she's thinking he's stupid for wanting to like her. But finally, when she gets all her stuff back and she realizes she's good, she goes back to him, and she's just like, yeah, and it's like, it's one of those. It's just a great message film for all girls, and I'm sure boys, but it's done in a really fun way, and Dolly Parton's throughout the whole thing. It's all Dolly Parton music, and I liked it. It was
Okay.
good. I liked it way more than I thought I would.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so that was a good thing. So that's on Netflix. You can watch it anytime, called Dumplin.
Okay.
And I'm giving it 4 stars.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so that's
Okay.
the highest performer this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, so that's movies.
All right.
So we're going to switch to TV,
Woohoo!
which I know John's chomping at the bit.
I was just going to say I'm chomping at the bit.
So Wednesday, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel season 2 came out on Amazon Prime. So we watched 2 episodes on Wednesday, 2 on Thursday, and then 6 yesterday, and finished the whole season.
Yep, it's 10 this season.
Yes, 10 episodes this season versus the 8 last season.
Yep.
So we got through the whole second season. I don't know how much we want to give away because it did just come out, but we make it through the rest of the first year that started in the very first episode. So we go through a summer at the Catskills. The family all goes up to the Catskills for a couple months. And all the while Mrs. Maisel is hoofing it and hustling and doing whatever gigs that her and Susie can get, and trying to focus on that, as well as possibly what's going to happen between Midge and Joel, or Midge dating someone new, which was Zachary Levi. And the family, and is she going to tell people? Like, we start out still, she hasn't told anyone, so she's got this huge secret to tell the family. So it was a long kind of 10 episodes of watching still this track in this woman's life, which was really entertaining.
Yes, it was very entertaining. I loved it.
Yeah.
I did. You actually just said a lot of what I was going to say.
Okay.
So, and I don't want to give things away because
Right.
it just came out and I want people to see it for themselves. So I'm
Yeah.
not going to, I don't want us to, talk details and hey, remember that time that, that sort of thing. Let people see it for themselves. I'm just going to say that, I absolutely love season 1. Season 1, it became my favorite show on television. Season 2, it started off, I'm just going to say that through the first 2 episodes, I was a little hesitant. I thought, is this really what it's going to be? And I won't say why. If you watch it for yourself, I think you'll understand why. But then as the season goes on, it's a lot more of all the things that we love about the show. It comes back, and it's as good a season as I was hoping for, to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can say that too. I mean, look, the show is incredibly written, incredibly acted. The costumes are to die for. I would just take everything and wear it all. And we did do a few. So the first couple episodes, we go to Paris because the mom ends up taking off and going to Paris.
Careful.
It's okay. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
We like I said, we go to the Catskills. We're in New York a lot. I felt like the Catskills was a little bit too long for me and I think I like seeing her perform. Like, that's where I felt like that was the best stuff.
Well, yes.
And here's the thing that I think I felt about me, and I realized that is the problem. Every time she was getting on stage, I would get super nervous,
Yep,
right? We would,
absolutely.
both of us would talk
Yes.
about it.
Yes.
And I was super nervous thinking she was going to bomb. And yet she's really, really good at what she does. So why did I keep thinking she was going to bomb? You know what I mean?
Because we have that, it's kind of ingrained in us now because we understand her fears, right? And we see the lead up to her getting on stage all the time, and
it's always crap, right?
She always seems really unprepared. They're talking about, you want a drink? No, you ready? I
right.
guess,
Or men have said horrible things to her, or she gets bumped and bumped and bumped and bumped.
So we always see that lead up to her going onto the stage, and it's like, oh my God, But then how can she possibly?
Right.
And then she does.
And she does. And she gets up and blows everyone away every single time. And I've got to stop getting nervous for her because, well, I understand that you're going to bomb, and she did in the first season, and so we know that can happen. I got to remember she's really good at this, and this is what she's meant to do. And that, to me, is the point of the second season.
Yeah.
Because in the first season, she fell into it. And, is this really... The second season, for me, solidified this is who she is meant to be.
Yes, it's what she's supposed to do.
And it's almost like... I almost feel like every time she signs off and says, I'm Mrs. Maisel, I associate Mrs. so much with someone who's married and blah, 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 blah. It almost feels like it totally is a character because she's not married and she's not, it is leading the audience on a little bit, even though she talks about all of that. But it's just, this is what she is absolutely meant to do. And while there are little things throughout the show that we're just like, that's weird. And maybe it's the 50s. Maybe that is why the kids are never seen. They literally leave the kids and we're just like, where's the kid? The kid's in the car. They just left the kid for an hour in the car.
They were at the Catskills for what, 6 weeks, 8 weeks?
2 months. Yeah. We never saw
them. And you never saw the kids after they arrived.
Right.
So
yeah, and maybe that's how it is. They're off with their groups and whatever. But
I guess.
But the tone of it being 50, this is in 59 now, of the difference in those relationships is quite different. She takes off and does like to Paris, doesn't let Joel know. And it's just like, can you imagine today not letting your ex-spouse even know and where's your kids and what did you do with the kids while you're gone? Right. All that sort of stuff. It cracks me up.
Yep.
But yeah, it's such a funny show.
Here's what I love about it.
Yeah.
I love that every episode I go through the full range of emotions. There's obviously things that make you laugh, and every episode I laugh out loud, like several times. There's things that make you really, really sad to, tears in your eyes, or you're crying for some reason. You're angry, you're disappointed in somebody at some point. You're incredibly nervous for somebody at some point. You're anxious. You're all over the place with this show. It literally has everything in every episode.
I don't cry at every episode. I think I only cried once in the very last episode. That was it.
Well, you have more testosterone than I do.
Yes. Yeah.
There you go.
So, but yes, there's a stress level to it. There's a lot of anxiety in it, but there's such laughter and such love, and and it's so weird because we even talked about this. So, there is a character in there playing Lenny Bruce, and Lenny and Midge are as close as they can be in that kind of situation. And it's one of those weird things that as soon as I see that he's going to be there and she's going to be there, I love watching the interaction of those two. It's one of the most brilliant relationships that it's been put on anything, because we know this legend of Lenny Bruce, but when we see him with her, and there's things like that, like the Joel relationship is something that I've never seen on any other show. The way they really tore him down in the first season, which he deserved. But in the second season, John and I we're conflicted because we like them. We aren't sure if we want them together, but we do like them and we want to root for him again. And they've just managed to do something with these characters. Even the parents who seemed, they did more with the mother this year, where last year she was so kind of shallow and vapid and I was just hated her. I'm not saying that I like her entirely now, but they did do more with her, definitely with the father. There's way more of him in the second season.
Tony Shalhoub is out of his shell.
Oh, he's so fantastic.
He really is.
Look, they all got nominated Golden Globes this week. Rightly so. They will win everything. Rightly so. It's just, it's a joy to watch the show. That's what it
Absolutely.
really is. And
Yeah.
here's the thing we both noticed last night. So after watching six episodes, we were both exhausted.
Thoroughly exhausted.
And you have to get into, because they speak so fast. They're so rapid. There's probably, I can't even imagine how many pages to a 1 hour script they have, because it's got to be double the amount of pages than a normal script,
Yeah.
because they have so much more dialogue.
Yeah.
And you are heightened from the beginning because of them speaking that way. It's almost like when you go to see Hamilton, you can't relax through the whole thing. There's not silence anywhere.
Yeah.
So after 6 hours of that, we were very much like, oh my gosh, we got to be done. We went to bed. I mean, that was it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
There's nothing else I could do. So,
Right.
but it's enjoyable. That's not a bad thing. It's just something that you don't get with most shows. You're not in that sort of experience.
You're exhausted, but because the show is so good, you feel like you accomplished something.
Yeah.
You have this very, very strong sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
You're very satisfied.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a fantastic show. If you have not watched it, check it out. It's on Amazon Prime. Definitely watch the first season. You've got to watch everything all the way through. It's just the best, and it will win everything, and you don't want to get behind. So the next season should be a year from now. You've got a year to basically make it through 18 hours of television. You can do it.
I recommend doing it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, so we did I've watched the first season now 3 times. We rewatched this first season last week, basically right before it was starting.
Yep.
So that way we were fresh.
Yep.
Yes.
And
actually, we'll do it again with the second season.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I wouldn't mind doing it again with the first. So
Okay.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that's just me.
So that's the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. It deserves everything it's going to get in award season, and check it out. We cannot recommend it enough.
Yes,
You will love it.
I give it 5.25 stars.
Okay. Next show is something I just wanted to talk about because, again, it's another show we both love, and it just had its mid-season finale, is The Good Place.
Oh, yeah.
I know we've talked about it a billion times. I can't help it. It's just so good. And here's the thing. It's also nominated. Kristen Bell got nominated. The show got nominated. It's up against Mrs. Maisel. Mrs. Maisel will win, and it bums me out because The Good Place deserves
It really does.
so much. It's the smartest sitcom ever.
Yeah.
And every season they redo itself. And I have a feeling that now even just the second half of this third season is going to be different.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to kind of talk about it again because this first season now they were back on Earth, and it's just like you can't even explain it
Right.
without going.
You have to see it for yourself.
You have to see it, and it is worth it. They are shorter seasons than normal shows. Go back on Netflix, watch the first 2 seasons, and catch up on this third one. It's super smart. There's nothing better than Ted Danson. Kristen Bell is amazing.
Yeah.
The whole cast is amazing. And on this last finale, Darcy Carden, who plays this being robot person. She's not a robot.
Not a robot.
Named Janet. She ended up playing everyone except for Ted Danson in this last episode. So she had to portray all of their characters, and she's amazing anyways, but to play all of them, she did such an amazing job.
She nailed all of them.
She did.
She really did.
Like there was no we didn't have to question anything.
Yeah.
Who's who? We knew it as soon as she started talking as any of them. She's so good. It was a great episode too to watch such a thing happen. Mm-hmm. I mean, come on. That's it's brilliant.
It really is.
And the timeline of Jeremy Bearimy, I mean, you can't get much better than that.
And Doug Forsett. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it's just a great show all the way around.
Yeah. So I just wanted to touch on it again and yell at people to go watch it.
Yell at people? We're not supposed to yell at people.
Okay, then please go watch it. Please.
There you go. That's
pretty
a nice
please.
way.
Okay.
Go watch it.
All right. Last TV show I want to talk about is Camping because it just ended last weekend.
Yep. Didn't see it.
Yeah. So this was, I think, 8 or 9 episodes. It was written. It's a Lena Dunham and Jenny Connor show who did Girls. And this was actually a show in England that they redid, basically. starring Jennifer Garner and Juliette Lewis and David Tennant and the dude from This Is Us. What's his name?
Oh, the big guy.
Yeah.
Don't know his real
I
name.
forget. But anyway, great cast.
Is his name Toby?
On the show it is. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, I just wanted to touch on it. I loved this show. It was so entertaining to me. The premise is basically Jennifer Garner is married to David Tennant. It's his 40th birthday. So they're going to go up in the mountains here in California and celebrate with some friends. So they've rented like a campsite that has tents. And there's supposed to be 3 other couples that are there with them and celebrating. And it's just there. It's an examination of all these couples. Like, one shows up with someone else because he's left his wife, and they've all been friends for 20 years. And Ione Skye is in it playing Jennifer Garner's sister.
Juliette Lewis.
I already said that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hey,
Juliette Lewis is in it.
And so if anyone has ever seen, which probably not, but it's one of my favorite movies ever, The Anniversary Party. It was written and directed by Alan Cumming and Jennifer Jason Leigh, and they star in it, and Gwyneth Paltrow's in it, and everyone's in it. And it reminded me very much of that movie. Where this group of adults gets together. A lot of them are fighting with each other. Some don't like each other. There's issues with some of the couples of cheating. And so it's just basically this 3-day exploration of these people and their relationships, their friendships. They are on drugs sometimes. And Juliette Lewis is the odd one out. She's now the brand new girlfriend of the guy who left his wife, and he brings her along. And she's this normal Juliette Lewis, open spirit, she's a DJ, she's a Reiki, professional. She's all this stuff. And so she brings a tons of drugs. So then of course there ends up being drug nights and all this sort of stuff. But it's just it was super funny. Jennifer Garner plays this crazy uptight woman. She's had a lot of medical issues. So everything is very structured. They brought their son with them as well. Bridget Everett is in it. Oh my God. She runs like the campground. She's so funny, which she's funny in everything. So to see this super uptight woman, and she's now in this position where she wants to run everything and control everything because that's how she's controlling kind of her own personal issues. And just, there's so much to talk about because honestly, in these few episodes, they just kind of unbuckled all of these things and these stories and these people and these characters and their flaws and how, and like when you think everything's going wrong, at one point, everyone's split up, everyone's, fighting at each other, everyone's this. Then finally, they kind of come back and resolve things. And if you haven't seen The Anniversary Party, you're not going to get it at all. But it really was very parallel to that. And, but a little bit funny, a lot funnier, actually. The Anniversary Party isn't very funny most of the time. But this was a comedy and it's funny and they're all great in it. And I enjoyed it so much. I think it was getting a lot of negative stuff because of Jennifer Garner's character, but I loved her character. It was very real. A woman who's, a mother and in chronic pain and, trying to do what she can. And, but she's not having sex with her husband and he's complaining about it all the time. And, there's just a lot and I can't even cover it all. But I would say, check it out. It was on HBO, so I'm sure it's on their HBO Go. Half-hour episodes, and like I said, I think there were 9 episodes. So really fast, but really enjoyable. You can definitely check it out, and
you can binge it in a day.
Totally.
In an afternoon.
And I will definitely be rewatching it.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah. So that's all of television.
All right.
So
I can see it from here.
Oh, okay. So now we're going to go to our Actors Corner. Come with us, won't you?
Which I can see from here. Okay.
Russia.
You calling me, never mind.
Okay, so this week we always try to pick someone who's been in all the stuff that we've watched. And basically we came up with Jennifer Aniston because I watched her in Dumplin.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be upfront. I'm not a huge fan. And here's the weird thing. I'm not a huge fan of hers, but I do watch her in a lot of things that I love. So it's really like Friends. Everyone knows, obviously, that's top of my list for the things that I love of hers. Rachel Green is my least favorite character on the show.
Yeah.
So I don't watch it for her. I watch it in spite of her. And that's how most of these movies are. I love, love, love a lot of these movies. Most of it is for the other person that's in it or just the story or whatever. It's not, I'm not drawn to a project because of her.
Mm-hmm.
But just wanted to put that out there.
Sure. Okay. Duly noted.
Yes. Okay. So movies you love.
Obviously, to you, probably not to anybody listening to this, my top is Just Go With It.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about, I think, your admiration for Adam Sandler. Haven't
Yes.
we? Yeah.
Yeah, we have. And I thought their chemistry in that was really, really good. I mean, it's not as good as him and Drew Barrymore
Right.
in like 51st Dates or something like that, but I thought it was really, really good and really believable, especially to the story.
Yeah.
Of that movie.
Yeah. So they have a second movie coming out.
Oh, that's right. That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like spring or something. So,
Sure.
Yeah, they've got their second one coming out.
Yeah, and I'll definitely watch that.
Yeah, and so will I.
Yeah, so I did throw another choice in here.
Okay.
We're the Millers.
Yeah.
Like that movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And that's actually one, I'm not a huge Jason Sudeikis fan.
Right.
That's actually a movie that I think she is kind of my favorite part of. So I'm not a big Jennifer Aniston fan either, but I love her and Just Go With It. And I think she's the reason that We're the Millers is so good.
Just Go With It is a funny premise anyways, the whole pretend thing and all of that. But then it is very sweet when they start to realize that they belong together and all that. Like
right.
I really do enjoy that movie, and that was a big start of not hating Nicole Kidman so much too. Like she let loose so much on that movie that I started to go, okay, she's loosening up, and like now she's completely loose and I love her. Yeah. But at that point she was still so kind of tightened up. So I love that movie too. And We're the Millers, I put that under my secretly love. I don't know why. I just didn't have space for everything, but
sure.
I love Jason Sudeikis. So for me, he makes the movie, but the kids do too. The boy is so funny.
Yeah.
And I do, and Jennifer, it's a funny movie. It's kind of one of those, I assume it's R-rated, so I think that's why I put secretly love. But again, I mean, we can watch that movie, sit and watch that movie anytime, and it's always funny.
Right.
So okay. So the movies I love, well, I put Friends because it has to be said. And my second for that is The Switch with her and Jason Bateman and the little boy that is just the cutest little boy in the world. Yeah. But I love that Jason Bateman with that boy. I mean, you can't not cry. You can't, I mean, and again, there's Juliette Lewis is in that one, and Jeff Goldblum, and love that movie. Love it.
Totally understand.
Yeah. Okay. Movies you like.
This is where I put Friends.
Okay.
She's in Friends, and she's got some good scenes. Kind of similar to you, she's not my favorite part of Friends.
Right.
But she's a big part of Friends. So I put Friends.
Okay.
As well as Along Came Polly with Ben Stiller.
Yep. So, I love that movie.
Yeah.
But I love that movie for Ben Stiller and for Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Understand.
Yeah, her trying to be like hippie, loosey-goosey, like doesn't work for me. Because to me, I also picture her being a very uptight person. And,
sure.
So it felt off for me, but I do love the movie.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah. So movies I like, for me, The Breakup. I know you don't like it, but I love that movie. Love Vince Vaughn. And I actually love both of them in that movie because it's so stinking real. Like I remember watching it in the theater and I think I was with my sister and our friend Rachel, and the first 10 minutes when he's just watching this, he's playing a stupid video game and she's trying to make dinner. And I remember all three of us just sighing and huffing and puffing and looking at each other just like, oh my God, we're going to kill him, and it was just like, it's just one of those. And I find it heartbreaking and funny and lovely. And, I really do like that movie.
Okay.
And my second one which should be under I love, but it's so hard. Office Space.
Yeah. Sure.
I mean, don't even have to talk about it. Everyone knows it's just the best.
Yeah.
But again,
Yes.
she's not the reason, but love the movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Okay, movies you hate.
The breakup. Yeah. I know you say it's lovely and all that. Nope. It's just irritating and
Right, because it's too close. I mean, it is real. It's very realistic. Well, not, I mean, the reasons they argue is realistic, not necessarily the situation.
so if I'm gonna watch a movie that's realistic, I want to be entertained or laugh my ass off. They're not necessarily the same thing. Those aren't necessarily the same thing. Yeah, and I don't need to watch a really realistic hour and a half spectacle of people hating each other, learning to hate each other.
I laugh, but
I know there are funny parts of it, but in the end, I hate it.
Okay, is that the only one?
Marley and Me.
Did you ever see it?
No, but out of protest, you want me to hate something? Put a dog in it that dies.
Right. Yeah, I've never seen it, and I will never see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I hate it on principle.
Okay.
It's just like I Am Legend. I like the movie right up until the point that dog died.
Right.
Spoiler: dog dies in I Am Legend.
Okay, movies I hate. Rockstar. Bleh, so bad.
Never saw it.
Yeah, and Cake, which was like her, like she was nominated and all. Ugh, it was so hard to get through.
So wasn't there kind of a string of years where women who did semi-serious, semi-comedic women did semi-serious roles and they didn't wear makeup and they got all kinds of kudos for it? Isn't that kind of how it went?
Yeah, well, that happens every year, but in this case, she was a woman who had been in an accident and like had chronic pain. And yeah, it just felt like she was getting recognition basically because she wasn't wearing makeup more than her acting. And she was just really like mean, and I don't know. I didn't like it. And I kind of don't remember how it ends or anything. So,
Okay.
you know. Okay, You Secretly Love.
The Switch.
Aw.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know that it's a secret. It's just
Right, I know.
I needed something for that category.
Yeah. And like I said, I put Where the Millers.
Mm-hmm.
Embarrassed You Haven't Seen?
He's just not that into you.
Oh. I honestly don't remember her in that, but there were so many people in that I don't.
Well, that's just it. There's a lot of good people in it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, and I keep hearing, for a long time after the movie, I kept hearing people talk about it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those that I just felt weird not seeing because everybody else was talking about it.
It was a good book. I actually read the book, but the movie was fine. It wasn't great.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't have anything of hers that I'm embarrassed I haven't seen. So, and you're going to add to your watch list?
Office Christmas Party.
You still haven't seen that?
No.
It's on the movie channels all the time.
I know. It's now on my list.
It's entertaining.
I know. That's
But
why
not
it's on
great.
my... Well, that's why it's on my list,
Right.
but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. And again, I have nothing that I haven't seen that I want to add to my watch list of hers.
Wow.
But I do have honorable mentions. So I first saw her on the TV show Ferris Bueller. So when she was on Friends, I remember describing to someone saying, "Oh, the chick from that Ferris Bueller show is on it." So that's where I first saw her.
Okay.
Then Object of My Affection, her and Paul Rudd, and also her and Paul Rudd in Wanderlust. Love both of those movies tremendously.
Okay.
The Good Girl, her and Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
I really love that movie, and I struggled with not putting it on my list because that was a serious movie. I really liked the movie, the story, and I don't know why I didn't add it. Bruce Almighty, Rumor Has It, Friends with Money was a good one. Horrible Bosses, both of them. She's really funny in that, actually.
She is.
She's really funny in
She
those.
is. I have to give it to her.
Yeah. And that's it. Office Christmas Party. Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah. So I
All
think
right.
we talked. So hers wasn't as difficult as we've had in the past, I think. A lot of her movies are kind of the same. You know, she doesn't have like a broad variety of like killer dramas and, all
Yeah.
that. But,
I know what you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, but lots of enjoyable. I mean, we watch a lot of her movies. A lot.
Yeah. If just Go With It is on, I'll
Right.
watch it.
Right.
And same thing with Where the Millers.
Yeah. For sure.
Yep.
Okay, so that's this week. There was a lot in here.
Oofta.
I hope you guys stuck with us because we kind of ran through a bunch of stuff.
I'm exhausted again.
Yeah.
I may have to take a Mrs. Maisel nap for the second day in a row.
Okay. So anyway, again, just want to bring up holiday season. Still time to get some t-shirts from our Etsy store. So go to our website, watchingmystories.com. There's a link to the Etsy store there, and you can check it out.
And for all the people that have been ordering, thank you so much.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Yeah. And that's it. Go to the
All
website,
right.
follow us on social media. I'm constantly posting the actual things I'm watching, which might not be talked about on here. So
Yeah, good.
so definitely check out that.
Yeah. Go see a movie.
And go see a movie.
And if you're not going to go see a movie, go watch Mrs. Maisel right now.
Yes, we're going to ask you next week if you've seen
That's right. We're going to call all four of you up and see if you've watched it.
That's right. Okay, so thank you guys. We will be back next week.
Yeah.
And until then, I'll be watching my stories.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, bye.